thing that distinguishes trespass to chattel from trespass to land, the first thing you always want to remember is this tort, you need actual damage. You saw the case where the little girl pulled on the ears of the dog in great pain yelped. The owner sues. If the owner were to sue for that, the court would say, you don't have any actual damage. No trespass to chattel. Unless you can show me that your chattel, your dog, is worth less than it was, that its quality has somehow been impaired, there's no trespass to chattel because there's no actual damage. She did engage in conduct intended to cause and causing interference with another, but she can't meet the last requirement of actual damage. Now, what do the courts mean by actual damage? They mean physical damage to your personal property or deprivation of your possession or your possessory right for a substantial period. So substantial possessory deprivation is considered actual damage. So don't get fooled in a chattel case where there's no actual damage. There's no trespass to chattels. Trespass to land, you don't need actual damage. Conversion, you don't need to prove actual damage because by the nature of the interference, they're going to say, by the time you get to it, they're going to say you've been damaged. Let me give you an example. I steal your coat out of a bar. It's your $500 coat. I do it deliberately in total defiance of all your rights. I intentionally do it. I know it's not mine. I'm acting in bad faith. I change my mind half a block away and I bring it back. You've now discovered that I did it. You say you bought that. I don't want it back. The courts say that defiant interference is so defiant and such bad faith. Theft is always conversion. We don't care if there's any actual damage. We don't care if there's a substantial deprivation for a substantial period of time. Conversion, you don't need actual damage. All you need is the court saying the interference, whether it caused any damage or not, is so serious, it'll justify paying full market value. Generally, you've got actual damage, either by deprivation or physical damage in conversion, but it's not a requirement of conversion. Trespass to chattels it is. One of your exam questions, one of your midterm questions, Miami condo, storm coming. A woman grabs a table. The guy's trying to pull her out of the apartment. She hangs onto a table trying to stay in the apartment. It's an end table, something that moves easily. There's a glass artwork on the table. In pulling the table tilts, the glass artwork shatters. In that case, she can sue for conversion, without getting into whether she'll succeed or not, because the artwork's been shattered, the loss has been ruined, it's serious enough, conversion. If she sues for the interference with the table, she'd lose on either one. I mean, the plaintiff would lose on either one, because the table has been messed with, the possessory rights have been interfered with by dragging it, but it didn't cause any actual damage to the table. So trespass to chattel will be lost. And grabbing it wasn't a serious enough interference to justify paying full market value. It wasn't a conversion. So you wouldn't sue for the table. It's neither trespass to chattel because of lack of actual damage, nor is it conversion because it's not a serious enough interference to justify conversion. So trespass to chattel, make sure you deal with actual damage. And tell me the law, you know what actual damage is. It's either physical damage, some kind of lessening the quality of the thing, or you've deprived the person of possessory rights for a substantial enough period. What's a substantial period? Who knows? Generally, your damage when you're being deprived for a period of time is rental value. And you took away my Cadillac for a month, what does it cost to rent a Cadillac for a month? That'd be your damage. You take it for a day, I can say that's a substantial enough thing because the marketplace is a rental value of renting it for a day. You jump in my car, you sit on the chair and you bounce up and down and pretend to move the steering wheel and you get out 2 minutes later, that's not a substantial deprivation. Somewhere in between it becomes arguable. So you use trespass to chattel for the less serious interference with personal property. You use conversion for the more serious one. Okay, what's conversion? Conversion, you're only going to use it if you don't want the chattel back. If you want the chattel back, take it back and sue for trespass to chattel. Any damage, you're going to get it repaired. You want it back, you get it repaired, cost of repairs. Or you were deprived for a substantial period of time, that's your actual damage, you want the rental value. You took it for a month, give me a month's rent. That's trespass of chattel. Why you wanted it back? Conversion is where you don't want it back. You go out and you see someone intentionally took a sledgehammer to your car, all over the car. You don't want to get that repaired. If you do, sue them for trespass of chattel, get the repairs. But if you don't want it back, then you're going to sue for conversion. Because your remedy in conversion is one narrow, specific remedy. You get the money amount of the market value of that chattel at the time of conversion. If you want something else, you don't sue for conversion. You need something else. You get punitives. But for your actual damages is always market value at the time of taking, or time of conversion if it wasn't a taking. So conversion is for those that's saying, you mess with my chattel in a way that I don't want it back. I want you to pay me the value of it from the time you interfered with it. So it was worth $5,000 at that time. I asked for a judgment for $5,000. Market value at the time he messed with it, Judge. Once they pay that, they own the thing. That's what you wanted anyway. It's a forced sale. So conversion is where your chattel's totally ruined. You wouldn't want it back. Or the interference, even if it's not totally ruined, was so defiant and in such bad faith and so inconvenient that you say, I don't want it back. You bought it. Okay, so what do you have to prove if that's what you want to sue for, conversion? Again, conduct intended to cause and causing interference with another's personal property, not land. You can't convert land. With personal property, so serious as to justify paying full market value. So it's only for very serious interferences, usually where they've ruined your property. Now you want the market value of that. But it's not limited to that. The courts have said where people defy your possessory rights and they do it in bad faith. Is the hour up?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just want to make sure the tape hadn't run out.
What time will the hour be up, do you know?
It goes for 90 minutes. You got an hour. You've done an hour and 27 minutes right now.
Okay, so I've got, what, I got 9 more minutes?
3 more minutes.
3 more minutes.
Maybe a little longer. The tape could stretch a little longer. I can switch it out if you were going to keep going.
No, I didn't wandering too much. Maybe we can do this again next week when I come back.
We certainly can. If you
Okay,
want.
great. To wind up conversion for this tape, it's for the serious interference with the other person's chattels, without consent, it's without privilege. You got conduct intending to cause and causing. So first start with, did the conduct cause a serious enough interference? How serious? Serious enough to justify paying full market value. Once you've got that, then say, well, was it intended? What has to be intended? Same as trespass of chattel, the interference with your personal property has to be intended. If the person's purpose was to do what they did with it, then you've got intentional interference. Both with trespass of land and with trespass of chattel and conversion, the simplest way of figuring out intent is, was there a purpose to do with that chattel what they did with it? If they don't know it exists, you can't meet that purpose. That was the example where something is hidden in a pile of papers, you don't even know it's there, you throw all the papers out. That does interfere with whatever's hidden in there, but it wasn't your purpose to throw that chattel out, and you didn't know that chattel existed. But if you pick up a piece of paper thinking it's junk, and in fact it's a valuable bond, and you throw it away, you intended to throw that chattel away. Your purpose was to do with that chattel what you did with it. That's different than the previous example. And the court will say that was intended, you just had a mistake effect, which does not remove intent. Let's cut it off there and we'll pick it up with another tape at some point.